Reinhard Oldenburg bought this radio 30 years ago with the very first money he earned. As a retired bank manager, money played an important role throughout his career. These days, the radio reports on the repeated excesses of others in his field. During his working life, he saw some extreme changes in the world of finance.
Every once in a while he would look at something and ask, what is this product for? Who needs this? Some sales staff also had questions and would ask the same thing about the products they weren't convinced about. But given the very attractive performance bonuses and ever-increasing profits, those kinds of critical questions aren't always answered.
The level of greed has shocked many in Germany and raised serious doubts about the financial sector here. And who's going to pay the price? So far, it's been the government, in other words, the taxpayers. But the German government wants to hold executives accountable.
In the cabinet, we have discussed how the legislation already provides the basis for holding executives and supervisory boards liable. But we also realized that these regulations have almost never been implemented. And I think we should all see what we can do to better use them or change legislation so it is implemented. I think this is absolutely necessary.
Right now, no politician would openly disagree. Some are even calling for more extreme measures, enabling small investors to bring lawsuits against bank executive boards.
In the United States, for example, where so many have always praised the free market and talked about how great everything is and how little regulation is needed, which is not my position, even so, they have much stronger laws to hold executives accountable when they mess things up. And that needs to happen here as well.
The U.S. drastically tightened legislation to hold executives accountable after Enron declared bankruptcy in 2001. 5 years later, the former Enron CEO Jeffrey Skilling was convicted and sentenced to 24 years in prison. Many in Germany say this kind of tough legislation makes it easier to prosecute executives who fail to inform their investors of potential risks.
There is definitely literature from Anglo-Saxon countries where experts correlate the regulation of financial markets in a system with individual claims and individual liability and a stronger trust by investors in the capability of the market. And that is what we need right now. More trust in the market.
But right now, people have very little trust in the entire financial system. Politicians are moving to come up with solutions to restore people's faith in the system by changing it, such as moving to limit executive pay. Many find it outrageous that executives of bankrupt firms still receive millions. Georg Funke, the head of Germany's battered Hypo Real Estate bank, had to resign, but still retains the right to a very generous pension. Now many are calling for changes.
Executives will be insured by their companies. That means if they're liable for $2 million, the companies will get insurance to cover that amount, which actually means they don't have any risk. We can't prevent that. But they need to feel it personally, and that will have an educational effect.
The goal is to assess traders and bankers on their long-term success and see a return to business practices where more than just a quick profit is important.
If we succeed in learning from this current crisis and come to the conclusion that somewhat lower volumes and somewhat lower returns, but fundamentally solid investments, are the healthier choice in the long term, then I think we will have learned quite a lot from this.
Reinhard Oldenburg values the tried and trusted. He's no fan of modern greed. He thinks executives should be held more accountable for their actions and that they should strive to act out of their own sense of responsibility.